loss, and it was the wrong decision. And my father, who was a simple man, just said to the doctor, "Hey, he knows exactly what he's doing. Don't worry." And so then I left. I left the hospital, and I thought, now I have to create a game plan if I'm going to heal this body of mine. And so the principle that I lived by at the time was the simple saying, the power that made the body heals the body. And I kept saying it to myself, the power that made the body heals the body. And I started thinking about that innate intelligence that keeps our heart beating and digests our food and creates such magnificent order in our body, and at the same time orchestrates so many functions and gives us life that most people never take the time to really acknowledge. And
just to interrupt and go back a little way. So when were you first aware of this kind of power of the body, that the body has the power to create and to heal? Because that's a big realization to have for a young person.
Well, a lot of the principles in alternative healing have to do with trusting that innate intelligence. It's a chiropractic principle, but it's a principle in acupuncture. It's a principle that there's a life force that is a giver of life, that has an intelligence. It's a conscious intelligence, and that it orchestrates so many functions that happen on the subconscious level. Now, I also was licensed and certified as a hypnotherapist, that I had studied while I was in school many hours of hypnotherapy and had a private practice, and I saw amazing things when I worked with people, from healing of rashes to stop smoking to addictions to sexual dysfunction. I saw amazing things, and just the power of the subconscious mind was a very real thing for me, because I saw that when people tapped into it, it could do things that the conscious mind couldn't do. Now, I didn't have many experiences of that. I had seen the experiences, and I had counseled people to have their transformations, but it wasn't really real for me. So this was the moment in my life, Ian, where I had to take everything that I intellectually and philosophically understood and see if I applied it to my life, if I could produce results as well.
No, I understand.
It's a kind of a unique moment, because it usually takes tragedy, I think, for us to get to that point, or it takes trauma for us to can't go on business as usual.
Desperation is a great motivating force.
And pain. Pain too. So I knew the power of the subconscious mind. I had seen it. I believed in that intelligence that gives life to the body. And I was young enough and simple enough, and at the same time fearless enough, to be willing to roll the dice. And so I said to myself, if I know that the intelligence will heal my body right now, but it will only heal it equal to the genetic orders that it's been templated or given to it. So I knew that the compression fractures would heal as crumbled, broken bones, that I may face paralysis, because that was the diagnosis. And so I thought, if I could make contact with this intelligence, if I could direct it, if I could give it some orders, if I could give it a signal or a message, and then get out of the way, maybe it would do the healing for me, because it obviously takes care of so many other functions. So I was asking it to go to the next level. Now, the beauty behind this is that I wasn't distracted by my life anymore. There was no longer any people to take care of. There wasn't any training. I wasn't running or swimming or biking. I wasn't running a practice or teaching yoga or martial arts anymore. I went from 100 miles an hour to 0. And so my thought was, I'm not going to let any thought go by unchecked that I would want to create as a future. Now, all my friends around me were saying, sell your practice, get rid of it right now while it's doing very well. And I listened to all of them, and I said, no. If I sell my practice, that means then that I have a doubt that I'm going to walk again. So I did everything as if I was going to do just fine. And they told me, that without the surgery, that I have to wear a body cast from my chin to my hips and wear it every day of my life for at least a year, and then maybe I'd do well. And so 6 months of laying face down, 3 to 6 months laying face down, and 6 months of wearing a body brace was pretty much the hopeful, diagnosis and prognosis. So I spent 2 hours a day in the morning and 2 hours a day in the evening reconstructing my spine. And I wanted to create a perfect picture, a perfect model for this mind to get what I wanted. Now, you never know how distracted your mind is until you're left with yourself. And so in the beginning, my mind was wandering to all my fears, and it was distracted from too many different things.
Because you were lying down all the time,
face down. Face down.
You were lying face down,
face
so you
down.
couldn't read.
Couldn't do anything.
You could listen to the radio or something like that.
Yeah, and I could turn my head, and
so you were left really just with what was going on in your mind.
Yeah, and I had to put a pillow under my chest because the way the vertebrae had broken, they compressed in the front, so they were concerned that the forward bending would push the bone fragments further into the cord. So I had to prop myself up with a pillow and lay face down with my arms behind me. So it was kind of an unusual position to be in, but I got used to it after a while. Very humbling also to be a 26-year-old kid who's driving foreign sports cars and being successful, and the next thing you know, facing a very, very different life ahead of him. So 2 hours a day, morning and evening, I would reconstruct my spine, and it was perfect. It was with the intention that I wanted this subconscious mind to know what I wanted. Now, if my mind wandered to some extraneous thought, I would start all over again.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, it was very tedious and very frustrating. But what happened was, the more I did it, the easier it got.
Well, it's like meditation, where people that have tried meditation, and you start, your mind wanders, and the whole thing is bringing it back, bringing it back.
Yeah.
It's a very similar process.
It's the exact single-minded process in meditation.
Yeah.
And so what I didn't know, that when I was doing it, that the more you do anything neurologically, it causes nerve cells to wire together. So I was creating a new network of neurons to reflect my future, what I wanted. And the more I did it, the easier it got. And then there came a day where I was able to do it all the way through without being distracted. And
that's an incredible achievement. So what you're saying is you could keep for like 12 hours or whatever, 15 hours of focus just on one thing without your mind going off.
Well, it was 2 hours. It was 2 hours, two solid hours. What happened was, it started to get, was able to do it in less time, and I was able to do it clearly. And when I finished it for the first time without being distracted, the best way I could describe it, it was like hitting a tennis ball on the sweet spot. It was like hitting a golf ball right on the nose of the driver.
Right.
It was a solid, complete, solid feeling. And the moment that happened, I knew that I felt like something happened. Now, I continued doing that, and as I continued doing it, it got easier and easier, so I was doing it in less time. So then I started thinking about doing things I'd love to do, like sit up and eat lunch, like use the restroom, sit on the toilet, like watch the sunset. I was contained. And so what I didn't know that I was doing at the time is that I was rehearsing mentally and preparing my body for the experience ahead of the actual experience. That my brain and mind were changing and my body was changing as a result of my internal process. And there's enough research now to show that that's in fact absolutely possible.
So when you were doing it at the time, you were a little bit of a pioneer, because you weren't, you had a feeling this was going to work, and you had the kind of a momentum was building, but you weren't absolutely sure, or were you? Were you sure it was going to take you to full recovery?
No, I wasn't. But what started to happen was, as I started to do this more and more, my pain started changing, and my sensory changes started beginning to become more normal. And the moment I started to notice that my body started changing, I made the immediate association with what was happening inside of me, with what was happening outside of me. And the moment I made that connection, I became very, very passionate. I just knew that I was on to something.
Yeah.
And so I had people come and lay hands on my back, and I had other things going on. I did a lot of different things. But to finish the story, in 10 weeks, 10 and a half weeks, I was back on my feet and
And it should have been, what, 6 months to get
3
back?
to 6 months just to even stand up if I was lucky.
Yeah.
And then back in my practice in 11 weeks or so, and training again at 12 weeks, and back to my normal life. And during that time, when you're laying there alone a lot, and I have such compassion for people now.